Hey, Fearless, Patricia, Leyland, Michelle, Janae, Successful Sarah. Good to see you guys. What up, Yuvonda, Cats, Frightening Me, Scott, Mr. Fox, Peeps in the house. Peeps in the house. What is up, fam? Hello. Yes, 3 times in 3 days. Like, I feel like I've just been living on these platforms. What up, Rokfin? DLive, Twitch, YouTube, Foxhole. Good to see you guys. Hey, what up, Maltulip? Good to see you. Nancy Lucky, Heart Whisper, Patricia Sirdahl. Caesar is good, you guys. I see a couple of you guys asking about Caesar. Caesar's cool. Caesar's chilling. They gave him some meds today. He's doing a little bit better. What up, Tesla Dove? Ass Squatch. My peeps. Kitty Woo. Tom Ford. Suki. Hi, Suki. Jay Brewskis. George Nada. Good to see you. What up, Texas Q? So glad to have you guys with me. Man, I know I've been... Thanks for the cookie, Suki. Cookies from Suki. I know I've been talking about this for a minute, right? That I was telling you I was going to get on here and I was going to talk about some cognitive warfare. Let me tell you something. People, this shit is crazy. Okay? Like, really, like, I know I get on here and talk about some crazy, tinfoily stuff, but for real now, this is some shiz, okay? Hey, Amy Butterfly Beacon. What, it's Fearless's birthday? Happy birthday. Happy birthday, Mr. Fearless. Thanks, Sean Joe, for the cookie. Much appreciated. You guys for the love. What up, Norm? Good to see you. Guys, we got some stuff here. So the nature of warfare itself is changing. All right. I mean, gone are the times of like well-defined battlefields and like easily demarcated enemy combatants. It kind of seems like black and white have melded into like ever-present shades of gray. All right. So like we had, for those of you that have followed the development of warfare in general, first generational warfare, we had line and column troop tactics. We got face-to-face battles. They were fought in tight configurations. With second gen warfare, the line and column merged with like trenches and artillery and machine gun fire. Then we had third gen warfare. The head-on tactics turned into something like infiltration and bypass. And yeah, it's very foily, Tesla Dove. Exactly. In fourth gen warfare, they used all available pressures, right? We had political, economic, social, military. We saw the rise of decentralized forces, insurgency, subversion. And we thought this was peak shenanigans, right? Well, not exactly. I mean, now we are in what seems to be a state of continuous fifth generational warfare that's conducted primarily through non-kinetic military action, right? Social engineering, misinformation, cyber attacks, along with emerging technologies such as artificial intelligence and fully autonomous systems. Fifth generational warfare was described by a guy named Daniel Abbott as a war of information and perception. And in this type of warfare, we are all potential combatants and potential casualties, right? Along this line of thinking, we kind of expect to see space and cyberspace considered military high ground, so to speak. But would it surprise you? Would it surprise you if I told you that NATO And other military groups have specifically deemed the human mind as the new domain of war. And we are talking about much more than just the mere propaganda campaigns of World War II, or the bloody and vicious meme warfare campaigns that we have all been fighting in for the past few years, okay? Um, we are talking about a bastardized and hybridized form of bio, nano, info warfare on your perception that will impair your cognition and basically end any hope for critical thinking, just essentially curtailing freedom of thought. In short, they are not just fighting what we think, but literally trying to fight the way that we think. Right? It's crazy. Thank you, Suki, for the cookie, for Texas Q. Much love. Much love. You guys know I love you. Throw the gold pill love. If you can't, even just being here warms the cockles of my heart, man. Warms my cockles. Okay? Um, yes, digital soldiers, fearless, exactly. But this cognitive warfare, this is something that takes well-known and novel approaches within information, cyber, and psychological warfare to a new level by not only attempting, like I said, to alter the way people think, but also how they react to information. Even more than that, methods of cognitive warfare kind of blur the lines between civilian and military targets. It arguably shifts the application of force from a physical to like a virtual domain. But even more than that, we are talking about new applications for cognitive biotechnology and what they are calling neuroweapons. Um, it's scary stuff, man. As Ben Norton from Gray Zone says, cognitive warfare is described as the weaponization of brain sciences. And this new method involves literally hacking the individual by exploiting the vulnerabilities of the human brain in order to implement an even more sophisticated social engineering, right? So, where is this all coming from? Where is this all coming from? Well, currently, NATO. Imagine that. Imagine that. Thanks, Texas Q. If I could talk all day, I would. Thanks. Suki for the cookie again. Much love. Um, Are we doing Mandela effects, Mark Basket? Is that yes? Kit Kat was hyphenated. I'm convinced. So where is this all coming from? So NATO's Allied Command Transformation Innovation Hub is an open collaboration, supposedly a community of people and entities that have come together, just to develop innovative ideas and solutions to the challenges that NATO is facing today. Right, we're talking about people from academia, from big industry, just innovators from the public. In addition to the developers, the community includes end users and capability designers, and they are all working together towards solutions to NATO's operational needs. Well, these geniuses, clearly the best of the best people, guys, with all of the newest ideas, obviously acting for the pure betterment of Western culture, and knowing that these ideas and tactics would never be used against our own people, right? Never. Why would they do that? Nobody would do that, right? Well, they have now published something of a primer on what they are deeming cognitive warfare. Okay. And I have put the links to all of these sources in the description below on YouTube. So if you guys want to go look at them in your free time, man, it's all there. They lay it out for you. So they say that cognitive warfare disrupts the ordinary understandings and reactions to events in a gradual but subtle way, but with significant harmful effects over time. And that it has a truly universal reach. I mean, from individuals to states to multinational organization. Um, it feeds on the techniques of disinformation and propaganda aimed at psychologically exhausting the receptors of information. And the thing is that everybody contributes to it, right? To varying degrees. I mean, whether it's consciously or subconsciously. So then they take this knowledge and they can easily weaponize that. But worse than that, they also say very specifically, and I'm going to show you, that they are strengthened by rapid advances in what they are calling NBICs, meaning nanotechnology, biotechnology, information technology, and cognitive science, and our increasing understanding of the brain. Meaning that they intend this not just to be a mental, but something of a physical weapon as well. And of course, you know, since it's NATO, they throw in here that their adversaries, obviously they mean Russia and China, are already investing heavily in these new technologies, and that much is true. Okay, that much is true. Um, oh, Tom Ford, I'd love to hear about that. If you got some free time sometime, I would love to hear about that. Yeah, they're on some shenanigans over here. Uh, what up? What is it, Malo223? Good to see you. So, so, uh, it's crazy. I mean, they go on to literally define victory as the ability to impose a desired behavior on a chosen audience. And those words just sound horrific to me. I mean, like we're damn lemmings, man, for real. Um, Now, they do differentiate between this and regular warfare, and they note that it targets the entirety of a nation's human capital, right? And their aims are hacking the individual, and then they admit, hacking the individual, and they admit that trust is the target. Something else that Ben Norton from Gray Zone mentioned is that such an all-encompassing militarization of society is really reflected in the paranoid tone of this NATO-sponsored report. And this report specifically warns of an embedded fifth column where everybody, unbeknownst to him or her, is behaving according to the plans of one of their many competitors. And the study makes it clear that those competitors purportedly exploiting the consciousness of Western dissidents are Russia and China. But I'm here to tell you, our own government is pulling this shit on us as well. And, I can think of certain operations that, may have started around 2017, read into that what you will, that really feel like it adheres a lot to what this is saying. Okay. So, in other words, this document shows that figures in the NATO military cartel are increasingly seeing their own domestic population as a threat. Okay. And we are seeing this every day. Sometimes it feels like our entire system is collapsing. I mean, Biden told Biden told companies to ignore the court stay on the mandates, man. Like the Facebook today removed any way to search for the term Kyle Rittenhouse. Just little things added up over time that will slowly alter the way that our society even functions. Okay. Um, they act like they fear that civilians could be like potential Chinese or Russian sleeper cells, dastardly fifth columns that challenge the stability of like Western liberal democracies. But this is our own government that's doing this shit too. Don't ever get it twisted. Thank you, Rain with him, for the shades. You guys, I appreciate your donations. Truly, I do. Um, Now, thank you, Sean Joe, for the cookie. Where cognitive warfare differs from propaganda is in the fact that everybody participates, mostly inadvertently, right, to information processing and knowledge formation in a really kind of unprecedented way. It's a subtle but a significant change. So while in the past, individuals kind of passively submitted to propaganda, we are all now actively contributing to it. And the exploitation of human cognition has become a massive industry. It's expected that emerging AI tools will soon provide propagandists radically enhanced capabilities to manipulate human minds and change human behavior. And like I said, don't just think that they intend to use AI. They're already doing this. Okay. Now, it's crazy. They go in a little bit to what they call the behavioral economy, which is where they reference the data economy and surveillance capitalism. If for those of you that remember the Cambridge Analytica scam, right? They reference that specifically, explaining how Cambridge Analytica proved how all of the data being collected can be used for more than just commercial purposes. Thanks, Sean Joe, for the cookie. Thank you, Suki, again for the cookie. Um, they go in a little bit to cyber psychology, where they're looking at the way that humans and machines impact each other. And they explore how the relationships between humans and AI will change human interactions fundamentally and inter-machine communication. Um, man, there's so much here, and don't worry, I'm gonna let the author explain this to you guys here in a minute. It's what he has to say is wild. They then move on to describe the vulnerabilities of the human brain itself, and I want to note a lot of what is in this specific report is kind of vague and left a little bit open-ended. I mean, a lot of the writing refers to the hypothetical targets of our adversaries, which, when you think about it, pretty much also indicates that this is what we are working on or developing, right? Because God knows if they think China or Russia has something, then we've got to have something, on par with them. What up, Kiz? Good to see you. Uh, thanks, Texas Q. Um, so we got to have something on par with them. Like, for example, um, here they're talking about how understanding certain cognitive biases can help to create better strategies for answering our adversaries. And they specify that the goal of these enemies would be to make the brain unable to distinguish whether particular information is right or wrong, right? Basically, shortcuts in undermining uh, and determining the trustworthiness of messages themselves in the case of information overload. And information overload is something that they talk about a lot in here, and not just in a hypothetical, kind of ephemeral way, but in a very literal, physical manner of total information overload, and just other similar things. Now, admittedly, some of this information may not seem all that new. A lot of us are intimately familiar with how the media, the government, and other groups manipulate messaging and visual data to elicit certain responses. But here's where it gets interesting, okay? There is a growing amount of research that explores how technology affects the brain itself. Now, studies show that exposure to technology will literally shape the cognitive processes and the ability to take in information. I'm going to give you an example. One of the major findings is the advent of what they are calling a society of cognitive offloaders. Okay, meaning that nobody really memorizes important information anymore. I mean, why would you? You can just Google. I mean, shit, half the time I can't remember my own phone number. I have to literally get my phone out to look it up before I can give it to somebody. Okay? Instead, what happens is the brain tends to remember the location where you initially retrieve the information the next time that it's required. So you don't remember the information itself, but you can tend to remember where you saw it or where you can go look for it. You know, um, with information and visual overload, what happens is the brain tends to just kind of scan information and pick out what appears to be important and just kind of disregard the rest. And one of the evolutions that they have already noticed is the loss of critical thinking directly related to screen reading. Okay? I mean, think about it. There is an increasing inability to read an actual book. And I know some of us are readers, but I mean, really think about it. When was the last time you sat down and read through an entire book? Uh, I loved Tyler Durden, by the way, Norm. Just so you know. Chris says, oh yeah, Chris, you definitely got some cognitive blah 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 going on. Uh, yes, Suki, I do accept shekels. Thanks. Right? You guys are hysterical. So it's crazy. I mean, think about it. When's the last time you read an actual book? Right? The way that information gets processed affects brain development. And that can in turn kind of lead to the neglect of sophisticated thought processes. So in other words, as they say in this paper, and I'm quoting, a long-term process of disabling the connections in your brain is ongoing. All right. And please believe that when I tell you that some of this disabling of connections and reformatting of cognition and perception is without a doubt the result of military operations being carried out by a variety of actors, including our own government. All right. Now, you guys remember in 2014, when Obama, right, launched the Brain Initiative. We saw DARPA start working on the N3, or the next gen non surgical neurotech project, or they had their subnets project studying brain disorders. Well, these are military projects sold to the public as basically dual use in that, they're supposed to have civilian and military application, and they always come. Man, these fools. They always come with the sunshine and rainbows bit, like how they're going to make paralyzed people walk again or how they're going to cure depression. As if, right? As if there are a bunch of glitter shitting unicorns in lab coats working for the government. Come on, man. It takes people like us to dig to find the darker applications for this tech. Like how they can literally use bidirectional signals in a brain machine interface to make actual human drones. And I'm going to get into that. LT5 says, what does VR do to your brain? Reformatting, I promise you. Reformatting, I promise you. And I am sure that they will be on studies of that as soon as they have rolled this out in a massive way. I'd be interested to look and see what they have published on that now. Right? Not even just VR, but augmented reality too. I mean, all of this stuff is just, it makes us question the nature of actual reality. Right? I was just talking to Alara about this. Like, we sit in front of these screens, right? And what do you see? Craziness, craziness, craziness all day, all day, all day. But when we go outside to go to the store or whatever, it's like almost totally normal. And you wonder, because you can sit inside in front of your computer and convince yourself like that the freaking sky is falling, right? But when you go outside, you realize that most of the shit you're being sold is just that. It's a bag of horse shit, man. Yes, Sudarbug, glitter shitting unicorns in lab coats, nonetheless, working for the government. That's what they want you to believe, right? Well, in any case, before lest I digress, they note that since Obama initiated that program, all of the major powers have jumped on board. They say that in the wake of the U.S. Brain Initiative that Obama launched in 2014, EU, China, Russia, everybody has launched their own brain research programs with substantial findings. I mean, China has literally, they see the brain as the headquarters of the human body, and they say that precisely attacking the headquarters is one of the most effective strategies for determining victory or defeat on the battlefield. Okay, and the revolution in these NBICs, this nanotech, biotech, information tech, and cognitive sciences, including advances in genomics, has the potential for dual use technology development. A wide range of military applications. I mean, from improving the performance of soldiers to developing new weapons, such as directed energy weapons, are discussed here. And they go on to say, of more focal concern are uses of research findings and products to directly facilitate the performance of combatants, the integration of human-machine interfaces to optimize combat capabilities and semi-autonomous vehicles, i.e. drones, and the development of biological and chemical weapons, i.e. neuroweapons. So now we are talking about a very physical application of this ruckus. Now they admit some NATO nations, and naturally the U.S. is one of these, have already acknowledged the high potential for operational use in defense and intelligence of this stuff, which means this shit is essentially already a done deal. NBIC sounds familiar to NBC. Yeah, right? I don't know. I keep hearing H and IC in my head, but, whatever. Yeah, so I mean, and they continue with the crazy here. I mean, they say explicitly that neuroscientific techniques that they're working on, technologies that are being utilized for military efforts include neural systems modeling. Let me find neural systems modeling, and human brain machine interactive networks in intelligence training and operational systems. They've got neuroscientific and neurotechnological approaches to optimizing performance, resilience in combat and military support personnel, direct weaponization of neuroscience and neurotechnology. And some of the products, thank you, Carrie Lake, for the can. Much love to you. And some of the products of this neuroscientific and neurotechnological research are being used to affect memory, learning, cognitive speed, impulse control, your mood, your decision making abilities, how you trust, and the empathy you feel towards others. I mean, the empathy thing really gets to me. The empathy thing really gets to me. And I think often of the division in race that they've been pushing and how that has kind of sequestered people. You view everybody else as the other, man. It's the dehumanization that they push. It's a mess, man. Thanks, Wingman. I see you out there shaking the tin can. I appreciate you. So in military and warfare settings, modifying these functions in military and warfare settings, modifying these functions can be used, you know, for everything from to mitigating aggression to foster emotions of affiliation or passivity. They can induce, morbidity, disability, suffering. They can even incur mortality via these methods. Okay. And the report nears its conclusion with a truly eerie quote. They say today's progresses in nanotechnology, biotechnology, information technology, and cognitive science, the NBICs, boosted by the seemingly unstoppable march of a triumphant troika made of artificial intelligence, big data, and civilizational digital addiction, have created a much more ominous prospect, an embedded fifth column where everybody, unbeknownst to him or her, is behaving according to the plans of one of our competitors. Now, this shit is wild. Now, the guy that wrote all this down, right, this Francois de Cluzel, actually participated in a roundtable discussion online that for some reason unbeknownst to me has 1,500 views, and he does a little slideshow about all of this, and I want you guys to hear some of this. So this guy, this Francois de Cluzel, in 2013 helped to create this innovation network where the report was actually posted. He was also the official in charge of conducting the Alliance's cognitive warfare study, and he, as you will see, is an absolute true believer in this shit.
So, as a matter of fact, last year I was tasked by our Supreme Allied Commander to explore that concept of cognitive warfare through a 6-month study that I disclosed in December last year.
Yeah, no woo
and we
here.
came up to the conclusion that cognitive warfare is a new concept that starts in the information sphere. That is a kind of hybrid warfare, as you can see on my slide, that our adversaries have strategized to utilize in order to weaken our democracies. So it's a kind of hybrid warfare. It starts with hyperconnectivity. Everyone has a cell phone. It starts with information, because information is, if I may say, the fuel of cognitive warfare. But it goes way beyond solely information, which is a standalone operation, or information warfare is a standalone information. It goes way beyond this, because of course, it's all about leveraging the big data. We produce data everywhere we go, every minute, every second we go online. And this is extremely easy to leverage those data in order to better know you and
to weaponize your data.
Use that knowledge to change the way you think. I will come back later on that one. But so of course it starts with the cyber, and where you all know that there is no possible attribution. So it's very easy to hide behind a troll or a different name and to try to hide what your activity. But this, what I've just described is only, if I may say, cyber warfare, information warfare, or let alone psyops. What we promoted in that study is that cognitive warfare is much more than that, because it's all about bringing all the tools and techniques that can, at the end of the day, play on the cognition. I will come back with a tentative definition afterwards. And so if you include all the potential technologies, such as what we call NBIC, nanotechnologies, biotechnologies, information technology, and cognitive sciences, it makes a kind of very dangerous cocktail that can further manipulate the
Oh yeah, they jacked the alphabet completely, Carrie.
brain, because this is what is at stake. And so we have some evidence as well, some pieces of evidence that our adversaries have already understood the power of NBIC, let alone neural weapons. And I can give you some examples. You've probably heard of the neural attacks on the US embassy in Cuba back in 2016. We all know now that this
The
is a
Havana
kind of neural
syndrome.
weapon, probably a directed energy weapon that hit the diplomat, the US diplomat in Cuba. And this is something that happened also in China in 2019. So we have some evidence, pieces of evidence that neural weapons are developed those days. And of course, for the military, what is at stake is keeping the ability to have a timely and informed decision making, keeping our capability to think and to transform our information into knowledge. So at the end of the day, cognitive warfare, it's all about cognition, it's all about the brain, and it's all about the trust, because at the end of the day, what is at stake when our adversaries are strategize to use our cognition is all to disrupt the trust that underpins our society. And let me give you now my personal definition of cognitive warfare. It is the art of using technologies, and not only information technologies, to alter the cognitive of human targets. And so here is a slide that I find extremely important to understand why cognitive warfare goes where beyond solely information warfare or PSYOPs operation. So on the left side, you have what the PSYOPs domain is. It's an action and belief. And on the other side, you have all the actions on the cognitive warfare, which is rather on action, on cognition, sensory, attention, error of judgment, and use of the cognitive bias.
So they're not just coming after what you believe. They're coming after how you act in relation to what you believe, right? Your literal processes of cognition. And I have some crazy shit after this that I'm going to show you.
In other words, cognitive warfare is not only a fight against what we think, but it's rather a fight against the way we think. If we can change the way people think, it's much more powerful, and it goes way beyond the information and PSYOPs operation. And I think it's crucial to understand that it's a game on our cognition, on the way our brain processes information and turns it into
It's a game, he
knowledge,
says.
rather than solely a game on information or on psychological aspects of our brain, of us. So it's, as it said here in my slide, sorry, I went a little bit too fast. So it's not only, again, I think it's extremely important to understand that it's not only an action against what we think, but also an action against the way we think, the way we process information and turn it into knowledge. And this is extremely important for us in the military, because of course it has a huge impact on the OODA loop, so the observe, orient, decide, and act loop, which is the common description of the decision-making processes for the military, in particular on the second O, which stands for orientation phase, which is crucial. If we
Thanks,
get
French
the
dweller.
orientation phase wrong, of course,
Much
the
love
whole
to you.
decision-making process is wrong. So I think the crucial point of the study on cognitive warfare is that there are new ways of disruptive cognition, and we need to acknowledge and be fully aware of
This is where it gets super effing sus, okay?
the actions that are currently run in particular by our adversaries, whether state or non-state actors. I just put here a definition that I found in a scientific and medical journal of traumatology from the Chinese, which is a very serious and very well recognized journal. So for the Chinese, harming the brain is harming the HQ of the body. And if you manage to harm the brain, inevitably it will lead to the establishment of a new common system known as perception is decision making. So it's clearly stated that if you arm the brain, you arm the behavior and you arm the thoughts of anyone, and you can win the war without fighting it, which is a principle that is dear to Sun Tzu. You probably have heard of that. And so it has the potential.
You see where it says decision making is the attack, right? The attack is getting you to change what decision you would make given the perceptions that you have.
By developing new weapons and ways of harming the brain, it has the potential to engage neuroscience and technology in many different approaches to influence human ecologies. And this is something that is written by medics and by military, because you all know that it's very easy to turn a civilian technology into a military one. And this is something that is made by design by some of our adversaries, and not only China, I guess. And it has also the potential of affect human activities on individual, starting with the individuals, but it has an impact on the group, on population, and of course, for us, it has an impact on the whole military as such. And it also affects human relations on local, regional, and global scales, which means that it has a strategic impact, and we need also to take that into account. And lastly, it influences postures and conduct of national security and defense agenda. In other words, it's a whole of government problem, and we need to be to handle that problem. And that's why that topic right now is one of the hottest topic for NATO.
Oh, it's a hot topic. That's great. That sounds super fantastic.
To put it in a nutshell, I will try to summarize why it is important for the military, for NATO, for all our democratic countries to handle that problem of cognitive warfare. So with the growing role of technology, hyperconnectivity, as I called it, and information overload, individual cognitive abilities, our own abilities, are often challenged to ensure an informed and timely decision-making, leading to that new, I would say, concept, which is being currently developed by my command here in Norfolk, USA. So leading to the new concept of cognitive warfare, which has become a recurring term in military terminology in recent years. So cognitive warfare causes an insidious challenge by attacking everyone's personal cognition. In other words, the ability to process information and to turn it into knowledge. It all disrupts the ordinary understandings and reactions to events in a gradual and subtle way that we cannot see at first sight, but with significant harmful effects over time. Cognitive warfare has universal reach, starting with the individual to states and multinational organizations such as NATO. It feeds on the techniques of disinformation, of course, and propaganda. We call it participatory propaganda. But the instruments of information warfare are not enough to understand what is at stake and the broad scope of the cognitive warfare. In other words, cognitive warfare is not just another word, another name for information warfare. It is a war on our individual processor, our brain. And so to tackle that issue, we need to understand the classical instruments of information warfare, but we need also to understand the rapid progresses of nano, bio, and information technologies, as well as cognitive sciences. And we need also to understand the rapid development of neural weapons that are constantly progressing as we understand the brain better. And the massive worldwide investments made in neurosciences suggest that the cognitive domain will probably one of the battlefields of the future.
What up, AP?
Hence, the advent of the
Hey,
concept
Day
of
Tripper.
cognitive warfare brings a third major combat dimension to the modern battlefield. To the physical and informational dimension is now added a cognitive dimension. The latter thus creates a new space of competition beyond what is called the five domain of operations: land, sea, air, cyber, and space domains. Warfare in the cognitive arena mobilizes a wider range of battle spaces than solely the physical and the information dimensions can do. Its field of action is global and aimed to seize control of the human being, civilian as well as military. It's a whole of government problem, organizations, nations, but also of ideas, psychology, especially behavioral thoughts, as well as the overall human operational environment.
The human operational environment. Guys, Cad Spotter, you nailed it. You freaking nailed it. Turning portions of the population against others without them even being aware of the manipulation, and turning your own brain against yourself. I see LT5 just mentioned meta, right? I see some of you guys asking about nanites and graphene and stuff. I'm going to get to that. I'm going to get to that. I'm going to get to that. Well, you guys are on it today. Yeah, exactly. That's exactly right. So this isn't just NATO. I mean, the Pentagon obviously is among the primary institutions that's advancing this shit, right? And in the report, they highlight that although a number of nations have pursued and are currently pursuing neuroscientific research and development for military purposes, they admit that the most proactive efforts in this regard have been conducted by not China, not Russia, by the United States Department of Defense. Specifically, the Defense Advanced Research Projects Agency, my favorite, your favorite, DARPA, and the Intelligence Advanced Research Projects Activity Agency, IARPA. Okay, so these fools are at it. For show, right? For show. And, you know, like he said, military uses of neuroscience and technological research include everything from intelligence gathering and training to optimizing the performance and resilience in combat and military support personnel, and of course, the direct weaponization of neuroscience and neurotechnology. And to that effect, guys, something else I found, another NATO related document addressing weaponized cognitive biotech. And I just love how amped up these people get for the potential mental subjugation that they are hoping to push, right? They say advances in biophysical, biochemical, and behavioral technologies are beginning to turn science fiction into reality. Guys, they say these developments offer exciting possibilities. I'm excited. You're excited. We're all excited. While also raising issues with regard to ethics and responsible use. Yeah, you think? You think? Right? I mean, they're obviously, they say it's turning science fiction into reality. They're obviously talking about dystopian sci-fi, right? Exciting possibilities. I mean, I'm so excited. I'm overclamped, man. I'm overclamped. I mean, damn, man. Like, these people are crazy, dude. They are talking about the merging of this cognitive biotech with AI to enhance and improve human thinking, sensing, coordinating, and acting upon the physical and societal environment because, we obviously aren't good enough as the Lord made us. We need significant modification, clearly. I mean, apparently we're not good enough. And with this cognitive biotech, our effectiveness, which they say is normally constrained by the limits of human physiology, can now be extended and augmented by biophysical, biochemical, or bioengineered means. A lot of you guys talking about the graphene, a lot of you guys talking about nanites, a lot of you guys talking about weird stuff. They Thanks, AP, for the cookie. I'm glad you're here. Uh, Guys, I appreciate your gold pills. I need them. You have no idea, and I love you, and I thank you for that. Um, so they use the example in this article, which again is linked. You guys got to go look at it. It's linked in the YouTube description below. They use the example of melding brain signals with machine interfaces to create mind-controlled prosthetics. Right? Sounds great, right? We're going to help the disabled folks. That's how they sell these ideas, right? And after they mention this, then they say something truly creepy. They say, and I quote, if humans can actuate machines, then these machines can in turn actuate humans. Just what we need. Machine actuated humans controlled by manipulated brainwaves. This doesn't sound sick at all. It sounds freaking great. I love it. But they don't stop there. No. They go on to say, conversely, our inner minds are no longer off limits either. While emerging brain computer interfaces allow us to train and direct computers, computers are increasingly able to peer into our minds and to train and enhance us. Thanks, Carrie Lake, for the cookie. I appreciate you, love. Or to put it another way, right? While we've been working to improve and enhance our machines, we now realize that our machines can enhance and improve and possibly control us. Well, fan freaking tastic, man. You guys remember that scene in The Matrix, right? Where Neo is like learning the kung fu. They're uploading it to him. Seems really freaking cool, right? Or just, you upload the ability to fly helicopters into my brain, please. But think about it. If they can upload information, couldn't they also delete information as well? Or maybe they can upload some kind of kill program and then use a machine interface to actuate you into doing some truly unspeakable shit over which you have no control? I mean, think about it. Now, there are two areas that they are primarily focusing on at the moment: brain computer interfaces like Neuralink, Stentrode. I've talked about ad nauseum on other videos, which can be directly inserted into the human body, or something they called TDCS, transcranial direct current stimulation, right? Brain shocks. They're shocking your brain from the outside. TDCS is a form of neuromodulation. They use a constant direct current that's delivered via an electrode on the head. And this transcranial business has been shown to literally regulate the human brain itself. It affects the brain's executive functions, learning mechanisms, memory, language processing, sensory perception, and motor functions. So yeah, they could give these to soldiers, to control drones from afar, or maybe police interrogators or people running POW camps suddenly have a new toy. Think about that, right? And they directly say, and this freaking kills me. They directly say that um, another controversial aspect of this transdirect cranial stimulation is the potential to look inside the mind of the user, to display and play back past memories on an external monitor, or even to insert synthetic memories and images into the mind. Think about that shit. Insert synthetic memories and images into the mind. You gotta be kidding me. Suddenly, right? You remember a murder that you never committed or whatever. There was like a Star Trek episode about that, right? Like Tom goes, he thinks he kills somebody. It was uploaded into his brain. There's no sauce there. I'm just saying, they're literally talking about it here in this NATO doc right here, right? Aw, thanks, Heart Whisperer, for the super chat. Much love to you, right? So suddenly you remember a murder you never committed or whatever. Like, I get that there are potentials for good and bad with all tech, but come on, man. Just because we can does not mean we should. And this is exactly why I am always harping on how we need privacy of thought and freedom of thought enshrined as basic human rights protected in the Constitution and other governmental documents, man. This shit is crazy. Okay? Now, mind you, They wrap this up with a couple of paragraphs on the ethical issues and responsible use of this tech to make it look good. But as we all know, this does not govern bad actors. Bad actors don't give a shit about your ethics or your laws in the same way that criminals don't give a shit about gun laws. Right? And this level of tech is way more sinister than some projectile weapon. They give you a little disclaimer down here, right? That this published material doesn't necessarily reflect the official position of NATO, right? But this is coming. This is coming from a freaking collaboration between Johns Hopkins and the Imperial College of London, right? This is just wild. This is just wild. What an era for the so-called tinfoil hatters, man. Like, everything we ever said is being proven over and over again. We are talking about the highest possible form of mental manipulation, and this shit goes much further than the psyops and the information warfare of old. So much so that the mind has been deemed the new battlefield, and we are all both combatants and casualties. We are the embedded fifth column. They look at their own people as pawns on the board, both useful and potentially enemies of their established order, man. Of their established order. Do androids dream of electric sheep? Philip K. Dick, right? Yeah, this literally sounds like it's coming out of one of his books, man. I don't know, guys. I don't freaking know. That is what I have for you today. Guys, if you like my content and you can donate, you can do that directly via Cash App, #, Loyal2ThaFoil, or at loyal2thefoil.com if you want to use PayPal. Let me go over here and give you guys your lemons and your freaking scratchings. And hey, this Saturday, the 13th, if you are in the area, oh, thanks, Suki, Duppy, Kisashi, good to see you guys. What up, Clip, over here on DLive? Good to see you. Hey, Wonder Mod, thanks for your help today. Guys, this Saturday, let me add some to the lemon chest. We are going to be having a Patriot meetup, a Foxhole family meetup at the Cantina 76 in Greenville, South Carolina at 1 o'clock. Saturday the 13th, if you're in the area and you can make it, we'd love to see you. Come hang out. Alara and I will be there. Max and Rise will be there. Brooks Agnew is coming in. It was organized by First Branch, who is awesome. Let me get you guys your scratching. There you go. Thank you, Karen Allen, for the cookie. Thank you, Rain for the shades. I love you guys. Can't thank you enough. What else? Another great way to support the show is to like, share, and subscribe. There is no telling how long this channel is going to be here. Thank you, Successful Sarah, for the super chat. So please support the free speech platforms. Go make the free account on Rokfin and follow me there. If you're feeling froggy, for $9.99 a month, you can subscribe through my channel. You get all the premium content on the platform, or go to pill.net, make a free account, get the Foxhole app. Alara and I are in both places. Thanks, Ask Squatch, for the phone. I just love to say Ask Squatch. I just hope you know that. Right? Aw, hey, David Sloan, I'm glad White Hat was sending some people over here. If you're just coming over here, you probably should go back and watch. This was a good one, I think. Well, guys, much love to you all. And until next time. Realized I was just vaping all in your ear. Nice, right? Yeah, let's go, Brandon. Oh, who said they love my brain? Thanks, Cats. Much love to you. Hey, Droidian, good to see you. Oh, I miss you too, bud. Make a new account. Yeah, if you can make it, we're gonna have tacos at 1:15. We're meeting up at 1 o'clock. Grazie mille. You too, Michelle Janae. Thanks for being here. Yes, vape ASMR. That's what I do here. Hey, Michael Scott. Thanks for being here.